What's up YouTube, NCG here, bringing you a getting to know video. So this is a video where I go through all the new cards of a certain archetype that have just been released, let you know what they do, how they do it, and basically getting you more familiar with the new decks out there and about. So for this episode we're going to be bringing you Pendulum Magician. So these are the 10 new cards that came out in Pendulum Evolution, and this is kind of like the new archetype deck that not only has revived stuff like Performer Power Magicians, it's also revived Odd Eyes Magicians and its own pure build of Pendulum Magicians. So without much ado, I will tidy these up a bit for you guys, and then we'll crack through each individual card, getting to know their normal effects, their base stats, and then we'll kind of talk through how to beat the guys. So we start off with Purple Poison Magician. Now this card is usually played at 3. It is probably one of the better ones in the deck. It's probably the strongest one in the deck. With a base attack of 1200 and defense of 2100, it can be used for many of the Virus's cards. But what you want to be afraid of is its 1 scale and its Pendulum effect combining with its monster effect. So once per turn, if your Dark Spellcaster type monster battles, before damage calculation you can activate this effect. That monster gains 1200 attack until the end of the damage step, then destroy this card. Now what's important to remember about these effects is, because the effect is applied and then the card's destroyed, under Pendulum Call and stuff like that, when your pendulums are immune or they don't get destroyed, the effect still applies. But when they are destroyed, they gain their monster effect, which is, if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you target one face-up card on the field and destroy it. So that's another double whammy. This card is always treated as a fusion dragon card. Now that's important if you go with a Zark variant build. All the magicians, or all the main magicians, are level 4s, and then you have Astrograph and Chronograph Sorcerer, which is a 7 and a 6. So moving on to the next important one, Black Fang Magician. I will quickly mention, so for those of you who don't know, they're kind of like the magicians mixed with the dragons. So as you can see, this is mixed with Venom Fusion Dragon. We'll start with Black Fang Magician. As you can see, he's fused with Dark Rebellion XYZ Dragon, which is mainly what their Pendulum effect provides. Now here's the 8 scale, so he's usually the other alternative you put in the scales with Purple Poison. So its Pendulum effect reads, once per turn you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Its attack becomes half its current attack until the end of this turn, then destroy this card. Its monster effect is, this card is always treated as an XYZ Dragon card. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target one Dark Spellcaster type monster in your graveyard, special summon it. So it has no limits, like it needs to be a level 4, it needs to be this or that. This can bring back pretty much any Dark Spellcaster in your graveyard. So yes, a Dark Magician build can be made. 700 attack and 800 defense. Then we'll move on to the next important one, which is Double Iris Magician. So as you can tell, this is mixed with Odd Eyes Magician. 8 scale as well. Pendulum effect. Once per turn you target one Dark Spellcaster type monster you control, apply this effect to it, then destroy this card. Once applied, double any battle damage that monster inflicts to your opponent this turn if it battles an opponent's monster. So again, Odd Eyes effect. Monster effect. So this card is always treated as a Pendulum Dragon card. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can add one Pendulum Graph card from your deck to your hand. And when we get to them, they're the new spells and traps. A base attack of 1500 and defense of 1000. Then we'll wrap it up with the final White Wing Magician. So as you can see, this is Clear Wings Magician. 1 scale. This is probably the less relevant or least relevant of the 4 main kind of magicians here that are mixed with the dragons, purely because it doesn't really have that much of a synergy between its Pendulum effect and monster effect. Once per turn, when an activated card or effect resolves that targets a Dark Spellcaster type monster you control, negate that effect, then destroy this card. So that's kind of helpful, protecting it against targeting, because most of your deck is dark. However, this card is always treated as a Synchro Dragon card. It is the tuner of the deck. If this Pendulum Summon card is used for a Synchro Summon, banish it. So as you can see, it doesn't have as much of a great effect as the others do, but it's still very, very viable at 1 or maybe 2. Then we get on to Harmonizing Magician. Now this wasn't released with the OCG starter decks when they got them. This was released later on, so it was a nice little touch that we actually did get it in the box. And this is such a insanely good card. So it's a level 8 scale, and it is also your second tuner of the deck. You play this one at 3, 9 times out of 10 you'll play this one at 1 or 2. So Monster effect. All monsters you control gain 100 attack and defense for each face-up Magician Pendulum monster with different names in your extra deck. So it's a nice little boost, but 9 times out of 10, unless you're absolutely desperate, it's not going in your scale. Monster effect. Cannot be special summoned from the extra deck. Cannot be used as material for a fusion, synchro, or XYZ unless all other materials are Magician Pendulum monsters. When this card is Pendulum summoned from the hand, you can special summon one Magician Pendulum monster from your deck in defense position, except itself. But it has its effects negated, also banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use this effect of Harmonizing Magician once per turn. So Harmonizing Magician is most important purely because you can use it for the XYZ. It's a 1 card Synchro level 8 or a 1 card rank 4 play. Now, the good thing is in 9 times out of 10, if you're playing a pure Magician build deck with this card, the catch that it cannot be XYZ, Fusion or Synchroed unless the other materials are Magicians is very, very slim, because the only other card that really affects that is Fairy Tale Luna if you play that, and then of course Pendulum Skullcrowbat Joker. Now onto the bigger boss monsters. You have Cronograph Sorcerer. Now this one isn't actually played as much, like it's very rare to see this in a build, but it can still be done. So this is an 8 scale. Pendulum effect reads as thus. Oh sorry, and then this one's attack is 0/0. Anyway. Pendulum effect reads as thus. During your main phase you can destroy this card, and if you do, take 1 Time Gazer Magician from your hand or deck and either place it in your Pendulum zone or special summon it. You can only use this effect of Cronograph Sorcerer once per turn. Monster effect. If a card or cards you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then you can special summon 1 monster from your hand. You can banish this card you control, plus 4 Magicians from your hand, field and or graveyard. 1 each. Pendulum Dragon, XYZ Dragon, Synchro Dragon, and Fusion Dragon. So obviously what these all count as. And special summon 1 Supreme King Zark from your extra deck. This is treated as a fusion summon. So the reason he's played less and less of is purely because Astrograph Sorcerer searches out your cards and it has so much more synergy with the deck. So Chronograph is 2000 and 1700, whereas Astrograph is scale 1 with a 2500 base attack and a 2k base defense. Pendulum effect reads as thus. During your main phase you can destroy this card, and if you do, take 1 Stargazer Magician from your hand or deck and either place it into your Pendulum zone or special summon it. You can only use the effect of Astrograph Sorcerer once per turn. Now this is purely only if you do play the other 2 cards, Time Gazer and Stargazer, but Astrograph is on its own insanely good in any type of Pendulum deck. Purely because if a card or cards you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you special summon this card from your hand. Then you can choose 1 monster in the graveyard, extra deck, or that is banished and that was destroyed this turn, and add 1 monster with the same name from your deck to your hand. You can banish this card you control plus 4 monsters from your hand, field and or graveyard with Pendulum, XYZ, Synchro and Fusion in its name. Special summon 1 Supreme King's Art from your extra deck, so it's treated as a fusion summon. Now, the fact that it gets to search you out anything, so if your Skullcrowbat Joker gets hit, you can then use this to then search out another Skullcrowbat Joker. It is so synergized with the deck, it's unreal. Star Pendulum Graph. Your opponent cannot target spellcaster type monsters you control with spell cards or effects. If a face-up Magician Pendulum monster or cards you leaves the field or Pendulum zone, add 1 Magician Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand. So again, this is so consistent. You can only use it once per turn, but it's so consistent, so synergized. If you synchro, it leaves the field, you get effect, you search. And then Time Pendulum Graph. This is probably one of the stronger cards in the deck. Absolutely insane. Your opponent cannot target spellcast time monsters you control with trap cards or effects. You can only use the following effect of Time Pendulum Graph once per turn. You can target 1 Magician Pendulum monster card in your monster zone or Pendulum zone and 1 card your opponent controls. Destroy them. Then, if this effect did not destroy 2 cards, you can send 1 card from the field to the graveyard instead. So, you pop Venom Dragon with this, you get double pops. If you pop Venom Dragon and you target 1 card that your opponent doesn't destroy, Poison will pop a card and then you get to send a card. So it's absolutely insane. You can get, it's just crazy how good this card can be when used correctly. It's absolutely amazing. The ability to send a card, so if your opponent can't be destroyed or destroyed or bounced or anything like that, sending it is the next best thing. You then have Poison that can pop a face-up card. It synergizes so much with the deck because if these are protected by Pendulum Call, again, you'll target your Pendulum zone, you'll target your opponent's monster or card or whatever, pop, no pop, and then send a card. It's just so good. And then we finish it off with Time Star Magician. This card is also very, very good. So, rank 4, 2 level 4 Magician Pendulum monsters, 2400 attack, 1200 defense. Must first be XYZ summon with the above materials. Once per turn, you can detach one material from this card, add to your hand one dark spellcaster type monster from your deck, graveyard, or face up from the extra deck. Once per turn, if a Pendulum Magician card in your monster zone or Pendulum zone would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you send one spellcaster type monster from your deck to the graveyard instead. So it protects your monsters. It can search out Dark Magician, people. That's insane. For now, until we get Apprentice Illusion Magician over here, this is probably our next best kind of thing. That is it. That is the Magicians in a nutshell. They basically have quite a nice first turn, second turn, board control, being able to pop their scales, protect their scales, and make you fear their scales is kind of how they operate. They can bring out some pretty nasty XYZs as well. They have very, very strong rank 4 toolbox, and they also have the ability to synchro, so they have a nice level 8 synchro toolbox, and of course they have the ability to just disrupt from scales, recycle from scales, special summon from hands. It's endless. Now, it's not meta defining because obviously when links come out, these will get a hit, but they are still doing quite well in the OCG because there are cards you can put into the deck, such as Oath Magician and stuff like that, to help recycle your Pendulum monsters. Most of these go to the graveyard, and Time Star can also add back from the graveyard and the extra deck. So Time Star is also very important to use that kind of recycling effect rather than adding from deck to hand 9 times out of 10 when link hits. However, this deck can still be very viable. They are incredibly cheap. You're looking at anywhere between £1 to £1.50 for the ultras and £1 on supers. And considering all the supers that you kind of need for this deck got reprinted, it's happy days, and it's really dependent on how much you want to put into the deck. I thoroughly enjoy the deck. It suits my style to no ends. It's dark spellcasters, rank 4 plays, level 8 synchro plays. It's kind of like everything I wanted in a deck. It's a shame we didn't get this sooner, but they are here and they can cause some problems. Enjoy them while you can. Thanks for watching, and until next time, guys, see ya.